Hello, how are y'all doing? Coming on here to talk to you today. It's been a minute, but it's because been doing a lot of things. As you can see on my YouTube page for Ministries, I want to talk to you today biblically and personally. But I'm going to go into the book of Matthew. I'm going to start Matthew, I think it's 25, and we're going to talk about talents. And we're going to talk about the story of the man that was on a journey, and he was about to take a journey, and he had left his servants a responsibility for some talents. And so one he gave 5, one the other he gave 2, and then the other he gave 1. Well, with the one that he gave 5, he doubled it, or they doubled it, and got 5 more. And with the one he gave 2, they produced 2 more talents. But what the one that he gave 1, seems to me that they buried it, got scared, buried it, make sure that they didn't want to lose it, and received and gave back to the master, or the man, which was the businessman, or I guess they called it the master and the servant. He gave back what he had given him. And I want to start right there and then tell you something else in regards to my personal life too. And it's not because, I feel like, I always got something to say about my personal life, but it hit me really hard in regards to what God gives us, or the talents that he gives us to do, and what we do with what he gives us. So I'm going to pick up right there. I also want to say that when the businessman came back from his journey, and the ones that doubled their profits, or the profit that he gave them to do, they were rewarded. Well done, good and faithful servant. Faithful over a few things. So I'm going to pick right there up at 26. But his Lord answered and said to him, "You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have sown, and gathered where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents." So what the man was saying, you could at least let my money draw interest. At least do that. You didn't do anything else with it, but at least you could have took it to the bank and let it draw interest. So when I came back over, I had at least some interest on it, So now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to give it to the people that gave, doubled my monies, and give it to them to do again, basically. And in a sense, if you really think about it, God gives us things to do, and there's not always instructions per se. Case in point, we all have gifts, we all have talents per se, and your gift makes room for you. What do you do, or what should you do with the gift that God gives you? And what about the people, just like the one with the 5 talents and 2 talents, that is multi-talented? What do you do with those? Because we should be using our gifts for kingdom. We should be multiplying, So when he says that your gift will make room for you, that's true. It's what you do with the gift in order for it to make room for you. Now, in regards to that, let's look at this story. Let's look at this story that I have. I was awakened. It was probably like 2 or 3 days ago. And I was waking up out of my sleep, and from a dream. And the dream was not a good dream. It was, to me, it horrified me, because it literally woke me up to the point where I started walking and started praying and speaking in tongues. And I kept praying to the Lord and praying to the Lord. And I suddenly said to God, okay, you have my attention. You have my attention. What is it that you want me to do? Or what is it that I'm not fulfilling? Or I just don't know purpose like I should. And I know that, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, but I know there's more. And there always is, y'all. There's always more. And so I know that I should be doing this, because then, once you get busted or you get caught, you start just like spilling everything, spilling the beans. Okay, I know I should have, but then, I did this, but, I'm going to do this. And I'm so sorry I didn't do this. So that's what I was in, beyond to me, of all the awakenings that I had in the middle of the morning. I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. All of that was taking place. And so, as I laid down, as I calmed down and spoke to him after the prayer and laid down and calmed down, my husband turned on the TV. And this was so profound to me. My husband turned on the TV, and on comes this woman named Pastor Henderson. And I was like, Pastor Henderson. And honestly, Pastor Henderson was talking to Pastor Henderson. Everything that God, or that I had spoken and needed answers for, she was actually answering. And it was so, that hadn't happened in a while. And I was just floored, and to the point where, I started crying, and my husband was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm just listening to what she's saying. and honestly, it was like one of the best experiences that I have had in a while in regards to getting close again to what he called me to do. She started talking about the grace of God. She started talking about your purpose. She started talking about just everything that I had asked him in the prayer just like 30 minutes ago. And it kind of quickens you to the point where you know that you're supposed to be doing more. And this is my reference to the talents. What is it that God is asking you? What else is it that God is asking you to do? Even if you have one, what are you doing with the one? Are you really fulfilling what you need to fulfill, or expanding your one gift or talent, your one thing that he is giving you to do? What are you doing with that? Because honestly, if you have one, it should be multiplying to 2, and that should be multiplying to 3, and it goes on and on. Because let me tell you, once you take off with the one gift, it expands, and the gift does make room. God bless you. I hope that was inspiring to you. Tune in next time. We're going to be doing a series coming up called God's Grace. Found out in regards to this epiphany or my experience that I had, that talking about God's grace, I learned in the aspects of God's grace, just like Stephen had a form of God's grace or had God's grace upon him, there are forms of grace. So I'm going to be diving into that on my next series. Talk to you soon. Love you guys. Bye.